You are listening to the Andrew and Troy Show.
Andrew joining us on the phone right now is the editor of Star Observer, a national magazine and website here in Australia.
Yes.
Elias Jahshan. Elias, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Now, we're going to get you on every Friday to talk the week in LGBTI news.
Yes.
Thanks to, of
That's
course...
awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Of course, and this is all the news that you can read daily on the starobserver.com.au website, or if you're too lazy to go to a website and read it, you can hear it each Friday morning.
Yes.
Elias, what's been happening in the news of late? I heard Tim Wilson has released a bit of a controversial report.
Yeah, well, it's not so much controversial. It's just the report is called the Resilient Lives report from just the top of my head. It's basically a State of the Nation style report that focuses on LGBTI rights around Australia.
Yeah.
And the main gist of that report is just looking at how, yes, marriage equality is definitely a very important thing that needs to be achieved, but there are so many other issues that out there. And that marriage equality is almost suffocating the debate and the progress on those issues.
What other issues are we talking about? Because I guess it's working because I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, it looked at it on a state-by-state basis, and the report identified Queensland as the one lagging behind the most. And partly that's got a lot to do with the fact that they still haven't got expungement laws to expunge historical convictions of consensual gay sex up until it was decriminalised. And they've also got unequal age of consent, which is a serious issue because a lot of gay men who are sexually active when they're under 18 are too scared to go to get some sexual testing or HIV testing because they think they're breaking the law. Because at the moment in Queensland, the age of consent for sex between men is 18, whereas every other form of sex is 16.
Wow,
everywhere else in Australia is 16 years old.
It'd suck to be a twink up in Queensland.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are other things as well, such as how, and not just Queensland, but it's a nationwide thing, how if you're married and one half of the couple undergoes gender transition and they want to do the full surgery and stuff, once they do that, they're forced to get divorced. And that's a phenomenon called the forced trans divorce, and this is very dehumanizing to have to be forced to get divorced just because you become the same sex as your partner in a sense. As we know, same-sex marriage isn't legal in Australia, so that's part of the reason. So
I should point out before, I know underage consent is not a laughing matter, but I want to talk about, just really quickly, about the trans wedding thing. So if a straight couple marry, so a man and a woman marry, say the man decides to become a woman through the process of gender reassignment. So essentially there's two women in the relationship. They have to divorce under Australian law.
Yep, they're forced to divorce if the gender transition ends up going through. So they can no longer be married just because they end up becoming a same-sex couple.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
how often? How does the report tell us how often this actually occurs in Australia? I wouldn't assume it would be a very...
no, it will be a very, very small percentage.
Yeah.
So it doesn't exactly specify how often it happens in Australia because it comes after a year or so of Tim Wilson consulting with various and countless community groups around Australia.
Yeah, but of course it still is an issue, no matter what, no matter how small. A few quick ones, news stories that I want to go through with you, Elias. That couple in the ACT who are going to divorce because of gay marriage. Well, sorry,
Can I just say,
marriage.
that has to be definitely the funniest story of the week so far. This heterosexual married couple in a loving married relationship for the past 10 years, and I believe they had children as well. They went on the front page of a Canberra newspaper called City News, and they basically threatened to get divorced if same-sex marriage becomes a reality.
Wow.
So I think it's just hilarious. And mind you, one of the guys, the husband in the relationship, works for an organisation that's associated with the Australian Christian lobby.
Of course.
So hardly surprising. And some of the things and his argument in the story was very outdated and very arguments such as, marriage can only be between a man and woman. We've got to think of the children. You can't raise healthy children without a mother and a father, without even taking into consideration how there's single parents out there, how kids without parents and they still thrive and succeed. So
the same old.
Yeah. Well, I heard him do an interview with another radio station, and he was saying that he still wants to remain married, but he no longer wants to remain married to the state. He wants to remain married to God and the church, but no longer in the eyes of the state law. It's written weirdly in the newspaper, and then what he says is different, and the stories don't really match up, and it's sort of been blown out.
Well, he can take his religious zealous attitudes and go off to religious zealot land and leave reality.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going to just be married to the church, then his marriage is not going to be recognised at all. You need the state recognition in order to get all the benefits as a married couple.
Welcome to our world.
So, exactly.
And finally, Elias...
So it's very strange. I mean, and also, I think he just fails to realise that Australia is a secular society. We all have freedom of religion. And I think he was saying in his piece that marriage is just a Christian thing, which is, factually incorrect. Marriage is celebrated with a variety of religions: Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, even atheists. They all celebrate marriage, and even predates before Christianity. If you look at ancient civilizations, when there are multiple gods and stuff, they still celebrated marriage. So to say that Christianity is just to say that marriage is just a Christian institution is a very narrow-minded view, and I mean, all power to him if he just wants to be married in the eyes of God and in the eyes of the church. That's fair enough. He's not going to get any state recognition.
And very quickly, Elias, because we've run out of time, Fred Nile has caused a bit of debate this week because of next week's Q and Gay episode.
Yes.
It's quite a lot of controversy because it's an episode specifically on LGBTI issues, on gay rights, and how far Australia has come in the past. Ever since the reason why ABC is doing this special episode is it's going to be broadcast straight after a special documentary on Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and I think it's the 21st anniversary, or I've got to do my maths properly. It's a documentary on the movie. So the Q&A special was just in that same theme, is looking at how far gay rights have come since Priscilla came out in the early 90s. And when you do a show like that, you expect everyone on the panel to be part of the LGBTI community just in some shape or form, or be an ally, not someone who is notoriously against it.
No, this is Q&A we're talking about. Left-wing media... Oh, no, I can't say that out loud. Left-leaning media, which the ABC... Of course, they're not really left-leaning.
No.
I can't say that at all. Of course, the formula for Q&A, Elias, is to have, someone who's going to... Be against it and get the pot stirring and the audience riled up so that people tune in. Of course, we can't blame... Well, the point of blame has to go to Q&A for doing this. They're doing it for the shit stir.
I can see where Q&A is coming from in terms of putting him on the panel, just purely to get a wider audience tune into the show, and to get people who wouldn't normally engage with LGBTI issues to tune into the show, to sort of get them part of the debate, which is great. But they could have chosen somebody else better than Fred Nile, who isn't so obnoxiously against so many gay rights and stuff. He plays Parade every single Mardi Gras. I mean, come on.
But he doesn't get it every year. Look, I don't think we should be blaming Fred Nile on this one. I don't think it's going to be controversial, a little bit of statement, but I don't think we should be blaming Fred Nile. We should be blaming the producers of Q&A. I'm sorry. It's just a joke of them to have invited him onto the panel. Shame on them.
Possibly. The debate that's been raised on social media regarding this the blame has been placed on the Q&A show itself. Everyone's angry that Fred Nile is part of the panel, but everyone's always also, some people are going to boycott the show just because of that, just that particular show, not the whole season. And some people are blaming the producers. Of course they are. I mean, they're the ones who invited him at the end of the day. It's no secret. So it's just interesting how it's just caused this debate, and I think I don't think ABC is going to withdraw this anytime soon. I'll be very surprised if they do, because if they do, then all this publicity in the lead up to it would have been pointless. No one's going to tune into it if Fred Nile's not on the panel. I mean, people will watch it whether they hate him or not. They're going to watch it just to see what he says.
they're doing it for ratings and ratings owning. Elias, thank you
Exactly.
so much for joining us here on the Andrew and Troy Show. StarObserver.com.au is the website for your daily LGBTI news. Elias, we'll chat to you next week.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate